welcome back to my channel. Today, a Christmas art journal page where we are going to jumpstart our journal page using gel prints. This one has been sitting on my desk. I pulled it out from another project and it just never made its way back into my filing system. Sound familiar? So today, because I wanted to art journal, but I wasn't feeling really inspired, I just kind of looked around and I thought, okay, let's just break the page by using this, and then we'll see where this goes from here. Sometimes the thing you got to do is start. So I cut off the excess white, and then I'm just going to glue it down with my fluid matte medium. That's my preferred adhesive, but you can use what you prefer. I use matte because I don't like the shine on it. And Mod Podge gets sticky, and I don't like the smell of it as well. Mod Podge also seems to, even the matte version has more of a shine than I like. So I buy the bulk, the fluid matte medium. I buy it in large quantities and save by buying quantity, I guess. I'm putting it under and over. Now you'll notice on the side there's a little bit of excess. Now I could just glue this down and that would work. But if I was doing this on a larger page or canvas, there may be even more that isn't covered. So here's a quick way. You just add color. Go with the colors that are there, match it as closely as you can. If it's a gel print that you've created, it's paints from your own stash. If it's a scrapbook page, match it as best you can. And then you can cover that white. You can also rip apart the gel print and kind of separate it a little bit and then put the paints in between. So I'm using burnt sienna here, even though the background is orange and deep violet and quinacridone magenta. Taping off the coiled edge. This comes from a Canson Mixed Media art journal that's on a coil, but I take it off the coil and I create, because I like creating on a flat surface. Here I'm adding some quinacridone magenta to the gel print in a lot of places. And I'm doing this because I've decided that I want to go with the Poinsettia stencil. And I want it more rosy, less orange. So I'm kind of giving it a rub of this color and I'm tweaking the colors. So as much as the gel print jump-started our creative process, gave us kind of an insta background, and it gave us the color story for our page, that doesn't mean I have to take it as it is. I can tweak the colors, add gesso. It's simply a starting point. I also added some yellow to that. Now I want to add a little bit more pattern and contrast, and I'm using black acrylic paint through this dotted ring stencil. Now I chose this stencil because since I've decided to do the poinsettia, this in my mind looks like a poinsettia or familiar shape to the petals of the poinsettia. So the two elements read well together. And I'm doing black because I want to add some contrast. Contrast is always necessary on a page. Adding black or white or complementary colors will really stand out and give your page that contrast and that energy. I'm using black acrylic paint and I'm applying it with a makeup sponge. And I'm careful not to put too much paint on my makeup sponge because I don't want it to glob it on. I'm not really worried about getting perfect stenciling here. This is background pattern. And since I have paint on my makeup sponge. I'm edging the page at this stage. Excuse me. Now I'm using this Poinsettia spray stencil from the Crafter's Workshop, and I'm masking off the leaf part. There's not room on this page to use the whole of this stencil. This is one of their rustic sign stencils, but I'm using it because I love the scale of it and I love these poinsettias. I'm using it on this 7x10 page. So just because it's a quote unquote sign stencil doesn't mean you only can use it for a sign. So I'm taping off that part because I am going to be putting modeling paste through the stencil. I'm taping my stencil and the page down because I am going to be applying modeling paste and I don't want it to move, and I want the stencil to lie as flat as possible to, ensure that I get as good a application of modeling paste as possible. So here's TCW modeling paste. I will link this and put the names of the stencils and any links in the affiliate links below. There are 3. Just full disclosure, I do get a small commission, but you do not pay more. So my preferred way of applying modeling paste is with a key card. I take it out with the palette knife, apply it to the key card, and then I apply it through the stencil. I just find I have the most success using the key card. And the only way you're going to get good at this is if you try. I find if you have more modeling paste, it tends to work better than if you try to be too skimpy. So once I'm happy with the application, I'm going to put the excess back into the container and lift off the stencil. Yay! I love it. I love the white. I love how you kind of have the positive and the negative of the poinsettia. I'm adding a little bit more pattern using my French script stamp with black archival ink. I just thought I needed a little bit more detail, grunge in the background. Had I thought of this before, I would have done that before I did the modeling paste. But sometimes we don't know we need something until later down the road. I want to add more pattern to the page, but I don't want something so bold. So I'm going to use gold, which is translucent, transparent, and this punch card slimline stencil from the Crafter's Workshop. This kind of reminds me of like glowing Christmas lights in the background. And who are we kidding? I love shimmer. So not all your stenciling needs to be upfront. I'm loving the look of how everything has come together. These are Tim Holtz foam stamps, foam letter stamps. And I am going to put the words merry and bright. And I chose these over my usual wooden stamps because I wanted bigger, bolder letters. I'm applying the black acrylic paint to my gel plate, and I'm spreading it out with my palette knife And then I'm grabbing a small acrylic block and I'm going to stamp each letter by itself. I find that that's the way I get the best stamping. And I like these foam letters because you press down, and then I'm taking care to wipe off the acrylic paint with a makeup sponge or with a baby wipe. Excuse me. Spreading more paint and stamping. I'm just eyeballing the space of the letters. I'm not attempting to make it perfectly straight because you can't. So I was thinking about doing it in white, but I thought the black gave greater contrast. Spreading more paint on it. And now that it's all done, I am just going to make sure that that is completely dry before I move to the next step. So I'm adding a little bit of shading on parts of the poinsettia. I'm going around the outside against the background, and I'm trying hard not to get the black paint on the white of the poinsettia. And if you do, which I did, put the stencil back on and stencil with white paint, and it gets rid of any oopses that you might have. This just helps the focal image stand up a little bit more. So I'm taking my liner brush and some black acrylic paint that's been somewhat thinned. It's actually my splatter black paint. And I'm just making some of the letters a little darker, a little blacker. That's just a personal choice. You can do the same with a Posca pen if you wish to fill it in. I prefer using the liner brush. And then I'm going to come in with my white Posca pen once everything's completely dry and outline the letters in white. And as you can see, the Posca pens write really well on top of the acrylic paint. Oops, my nib came right out. Didn't even know that was possible. I just pushed it back in and it seems to be working fine. I left this video, I think it was only 1.5 times the speed. People are giving me feedback saying they prefer the slower speed. Loving, loving, loving the look of this. This would work well on a canvas as well. And I'm just splattering with some white paint. And that brings us to the end of this art journal page. So go through your gel prints, go through your stash of papers, pick something and use it as an Insta background to jumpstart your journal page. And then come into my Facebook group, Mixed Media Art Journaling and Mixed Media Creations, and tell me all about it and post your picture. Until next time, go get creative.